Good afternoon, everybody. Dignitaries on the dais, my fellow friends from the construction industry. I welcome you all on behalf of Shapoorji Pallonji Infra and Afcons Infrastructure for this knowledge sharing activity on tunneling and tunneling related scenarios. The topic, what is indicated is critical aspects of tunnel construction and recent development in tunnel construction and maintenance of operation. So today we'll be focusing only on the first 2 points, that's critical aspects of tunnel construction and recent developments and what are the things which are happening in terms of technology or in terms of use of other alternate methods for construction of tunnels. I'll take you through our experience, Afcon's experience in road construction in Himalaya especially. Completed projects, basically one is Jammu-Udhampur highway, wherein we had constructed a couple of tunnels, and then one more significant project, that is Rohtang Pass, that is Atal Tunnel. Now suppose we look at first experience, that was way back in 2015-16, wherein Afcons was working on this Jammu-Udhampur stretch of highway, and we constructed something around 10 tunnels. Not of a big length or shorter length, maximum length of around 6 centimeters or so. Rock condition was fair, rather it was fair to good, so somewhere it was fair stretches, somewhere the rock was fairly good. No major faults across any of these tunnels. We completed all the tunneling work in around 26 months, all these 10 numbers of tunnels. What important experience, what we looked at the total scenario is adhering to a planned cycle time. We all talk about that when we have interaction with the designers have given us the designs, we are implementing them on field, and then adhering to a planned cycle time became a challenge. Why this became a challenge? Because the team which has come at that time for construction of these things was from a heterogeneous background, somewhere from the hydro underground construction, somewhere from the new techniques that is getting adopted into the industry. So merging their synergies and bringing them to one particular wavelength also became a challenge. And that is the reason in some of the areas what we found that alternate solutions were being proposed by the execution team, that sir, this can be done to handle this short problems, or this can be done for this short, and we were wasting time on those small issues where too many suggestions were coming, and that's the reason we encountered that repetitiveness was not coming. Once those problems were ironed out, we had a pretty good scenario of synergized team, and then the things were completed. The second aspect was support system designed for a short stretches of poor geology. See, we all talk about longer shears or longer fault zone, this thing, but one in tunnel of 100 meters, there will not be a big fault or something. There will be a small patch of 3 meter or 5 meter or 8 meter. Now to do a mapping, today we have done a map of a face block which says it's a poor rock. By the time you take 2 more blasts, it suddenly becomes a good rock. So what kind of support needs to be adopted for already executed portion of 5 meter stretch, or what support needs to be adopted for a further improving this thing. So that also became a point of debate between consultant and our people, and then that also was one of the area where we need to have some sort of a standardized designs approach, that for smaller such kind of fault zone, what kind of support structures we need to provide, and for a good rock, what kind of support. Because for a longer stretch, definitely we will have a good systematic support being designed. Now coming to Atal Tunnel. Atal Tunnel is one of the longest tunnel in Asia, above 3000 meter elevation. Atal Tunnel is at elevation of 3065 and it's 8.86 kilometers. The parallel this thing are basically Chenani Nasri, which is at far lower elevation, that is at 1200 meters, and other 3 tunnels, those are rail tunnels, one in Afghanistan and that other one is USA, and then even the Quetta rail tunnel in Pakistan is at elevation of 3,900 meters, and that is 3.9 kilometers. Now coming to Rohtang Pass, you can look at the geometry of the tunnel. It's a 3-lane tunnel, continuous in, if you consider 3-lane in one direction, it's 3-lane one direction tunnel at 8.84 kilometers. So it is actually 1.5 lane in each direction of traffic. The tunnel shape where egress is at the bottom. You can see at the bottom there is a small sectional area given of 3.6 meter by 2.25 meter, and this particular section is used as a egress portion. Every 100 meters there is a door available on the side of the tunnel which goes below, which door connects that section to the below egress, and then through this people can move along the tunnel through a rescue chambers, and these rescue chambers are also constructed at certain intervals so that the people can be moved to rescue zone, and then the hazard, the critical situations of accidents and all those things can be avoided. The complete tunnel is also drained at the bottom, and it uses the ventilation system of isolated ventilation. You can look at the top, there is a slab provided, and all ventilation system is mounted above the slab, so all the fumes, the bad air is sucked in the bottom, on the top of the tunnel, and then driven through jet fans to a location, and through the side, this thing, it is taken out of the tunnel. So this was the method which was adopted during the construction of a length of around 414 meters. And non-shear, though the non-shear portion was completed in 5 years, the anticipated total construction duration was 5.5 years. However, to complete this shear zone, we took almost around 4 years. To pass through these 414 meters of length, we took 4 years. The learnings, why it took so much of time? The shear zone consisting of water, soil encountered at Seri Nala. The location is called Seri Nala. Nature and property of fault was unexpected. Fault was expected, but nature, how it will behave, what kind of thing will suddenly come out, those was not anticipated. Then what happened? The occurrence of this particular event happened something around 64 meters prior to the actual expected location. So the team was not fully prepared. They were expecting that, okay, we'll have certain things in place by the time we reach to a particular location, and that caused more problem, because our preparation, as well as in terms of design, in terms of solutions, in terms of team's preparation, we missed certain things, and then because of early occurrence of the event, we had a bigger problem. What happened? The face collapsed and muck and water started flowing. You can see from the picture, the face has collapsed, water with soil, boulders, fault rocks all started flowing in. Chimney formation started, which is a common phenomena in any tunneling scenario when the faults are there. Then whatever muck was removed, further fresh study will start flowing. So we are not very distinct that how much muck will now we will have to handle. So what we decided, we stopped excavation, that we will not do any kind of soil removal and all those things. Created an artificial wall, and we filled at the backside of the wall with the muck only. And then we grouted that complete muck so that it creates some sort of a stable structure in front of the face. And then after that, we drilled a drainage holes on the top and allowed the water, excess water which was flowing on the top, to drain down. And after that particular draining activity was completed, the grout was filled and the ground was stabilized. Then drilling phase was, anchors were placed in drilling phase, drilling of safe drilling bolts also towards the cavity, where also this thing, short cutting and retaining wall also was stabilized, and then came the final method which we adopted. Another experience of Afghans. These are the two projects which are under construction. One is Pando-Tikoli Manali Highway, construction of 2-lane tunnels of 19.8 kilometers, and second project is Mumbai-Nagpur Samruddhi Super Expressway, construction of 4-lane tunnels of 8.2 kilometers, 2 tunnels. Looking at the Pando-Tikoli, we constructed so many stretches of tunnel. There are pairs of tunnel, there are certain single tunnels of 2-lane distinct. Total excavated length of tunnels which have been completed is 19.8 kilometers. The key issue while we are discussing about the tunneling activity here, the construction of tunnel is which is immediately followed by a viaduct is a major challenge. Why? Because the access road development as in a desired gradient becomes a challenge, because we have to give space for viaduct activities also, we have to give space for road also, so developing access becomes a challenging scenario. Either enlarging the length of the viaduct or bringing such a location that these interference can be avoided by additional acquisition of land which is outside the boundary of ROW requirement. So then we can ease out these kind of problems and move ahead in a faster way. The next project is, there are 2 tunnels of 7.7 kilometer length with base width of around 21.32 meters and cross-sectional area of 156 square meter. It's a large cross-sectional area in terms of executional perspective. In this particular project, we have a cut and cover section of around 270 meters, and there is a cut and cover section which is not concreted but it is shaded portion. That's also there is a length of around 400 meters in this particular project. You can look at first photograph wherein 2 jumbos are simultaneously operating for a phase drilling, which is very uncommon in terms of tunnel excavation. 2 boomers operating simultaneously and then doing drilling, and in synchronization they are adopting the loading of explosives and all those things. So that was one of the key challenge, and we successfully maneuvered these challenges by training the people. It was first such long tunnel with such a large width of cross section getting executed. The bigger challenge, the third point, Igatpuri gets a highest rainfall in Maharashtra during rainy season. So conservation of water was also a challenge, and establishing correct and parallel drilling, as already explained, was also a challenge during the initial period of execution. Key aspect, in order to avoid the water flow in the tunnel highway, vertical alignment was so designed from the slope perspective that start of tunnel is covered with a shade and cut and cover portion so that the rainwater shall not flow in the tunnel. So the alignment, vertical alignment was so adjusted that at a particular point there is a ramp downwards this one, and in the tunnel it ramp this one. From this point onward, the cut and cover portion 400 meter is shaded, and after that you can see from the picture the front side of the tunnel is shaded, and latter the picture shows that cut and cover portion with a arch concrete lining portal, that is artificial portal being constructed. So these all things were constructed, they are finished now. Now the other dimension, why this shaded portion? Somebody will have a question, why this shaded portion was proposed for this kind of project. The objective of this shaded tunnel came from this thing that during rainy season this whole area gets blocked by a fog. So the dense fog is there. So we have to design the illumination system in such a way that during the transient length of certain meters you have an illuminated road, and then you enter into shaded this thing, so the light remains this thing, and then you enter into the tunnel where the light intensity is so much that you will not definitely feel that you are transient from fog zone to a tunnel, and that is the reason these design parameters were taken care, and that was proposed. density of more than 150 megawatt and bring it down to a level of around 40 to 45 megawatt, then high pressure water mist system is a good alternative which can be used for controlling the fire inside the tunnel, and especially for long tunnels that is mandatory. The second one is as per the contractual requirement and as per the technical evaluation. In case of fire, the fire will generate heat, and that heat might have an impact on a concrete lining which is inside the tunnel. Have primary support installed, you have progressed this thing, but then the primary support was not adequate, or there had been a dynamic stress released because of certain movements inside the mountain, and then you have a squeezing of tunnel. The original tunnel was of X diameter and you have reduced the diameter. So reworking for such kind of activities also becomes a challenge, because you have to restore, means you have to take out the original support and then it's a hell lot of activity to restore back a tunnel. So we need to have these kind of also studies and predictions to be analyzed through various educational institutions, IITs and all those things, that we have proper inputs on mapping of those scenarios and then move in with appropriate measures during construction of tunnels. Similarly, another thing is rock burst, and this scenario occurs in a good rock condition. You will not find this scenario happening in poor rock condition. It happens only in good rock condition which are highly stressed. This stress is because suppose we are constructing a tunnel which has a high overburden, so the rock at the bottom is highly stressed, though it is compacted, sound rock, class 1 rock, but then it's highly stressed. And moment we construct a tunnel, we install primary support, suddenly one day what happens, the rock releases all its stressing forces, and it is like a mini earthquake happening inside the tunnel, and all your initial support system is broken and you have a large wedge failure. So intermittently instrumentation and instrumentation mounted studies on stress analysis, strain gauges, mounting of strain, measurement of strains, measurement of stress, all these things also need to be undertaken, or rather it should be made as a part of requirement during execution as well as during maintenance period, that such instrumentation monitoring should be a part, because failures we don't know. Even a running tunnel maybe after 5 years can release a stress and can have a collapse. So measurement, instrumentation, all those things are equally important in terms of tunnel construction. In China as well as in certain other European countries also, large size TBMs are being used to construct the tunnels of around 14.5 meter dia, wherein two layered pathways, one driving in one direction, one driving in another directions, have been also constructed, and we can also look at similar type of design in terms of new ways of construction methods being adopted in future. We have shared with you. Thank you very much.